I built this N8N automation that takes any Zillow listing and turns it into an awesome marketing video with a script, voiceover, captions, and music. And then it delivers everything to your email in like 5 minutes. So let me show you what this creates.
Imagine waking up in paradise every day, in the crown jewel of Maui's Moana Estates. Welcome to a stunning 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home, nestled on the largest 10,382 square foot home site in the community. Picture yourself in a lush.
So you get the idea, and this literally takes 5 minutes to generate. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about how I got the idea for this automation, because my team and I are going to be turning this into a micro-SaaS so we can start generating some monthly recurring revenue. Then I'm going to show you exactly step-by-step how it works, how I built this in N8N, how I used Lovable to build a little front end or proof of concept for this, and then basically how we hook everything up to get something delivered to your inbox. So by the end of today's video, not only will you know how to build an automation that takes any Zillow listing and turns it into a video, but you will know how to find ideas for your next micro SaaS company and how to build it using N8N and Lovable. All we're doing to create this is getting a Zillow listing and getting all the details from the property, like the price, the square footage, the beds, the bath, all the amenities, anything that you might want to know. And then we're grabbing all of the pictures and adding motion to them and then stitching them together end to end, adding voiceover, adding captions, writing a script, the whole deal. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works. But first, I want to talk a little bit about how and why I got the idea to build something like this, because I think that part is really important. I see this a lot of times right now, is that people are interested in building like solutions that solve a problem or creating these little micro SaaS applications to generate monthly recurring revenue. There are really a million places for you to get ideas for this, but the way that I did this personally is I just run a school community for people interested in AI and automation. And I noticed that there are a lot of people in the community who are working in real estate. They were like real estate agents, they were working in brokerages, and they were active in the chats. And I could see that there was a need in this specific industry for automation. And so I thought, all right, like what can we create for this? That is the first place to start, is like find an industry, like where are you already lurking online? Like what subreddits are you in, right? Like what industry excites you? And then like, can you go out and find a problem? And initially, I actually didn't have a specific problem that I wanted to solve. Like I was just kind of like, okay, like what can we do in real estate? And my mind went to, okay, when you think of real estate, like what do you think of? Whenever I think of real estate, I think of Zillow. And I was kind of just like, all right, like what information can we get? Like does Zillow have an API? Can we get any details about the property? Like I don't even know what's available to me. So there's this great site, it's called Rapid API, and they literally have APIs for everything. And so I literally just went here and I was like, all right, like does Zillow have like an API? And I went and I just typed in Zillow and I went to the first one that came up, Zillow.com. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and like already on the end here, you can see we have this big list of endpoints, and I just wanted to see like what we could get. And so property details, like this is the first one that appears right here, right? So I just clicked in this. And so one of the things I love about Rapid API, and not all the APIs will have this, but this one in particular does, and I'll leave a link in the description where you can just get access to the Zillow API, is if you come over to this example responses, and you can kind of just start scrolling down to see like what type of like data do we have access to, right? And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see some of the high level information that maybe you're actually the most interested in, right? Like the total living area, right? How many bathrooms does this have? What state is this in? In this case, it's Washington, right? Here's the year that it's built. And then here's the purchase price. And then this even actually gives you a full description of the property, right? Last home left at the Westlake Collection. This isn't the one I used in my video, but this is just kind of the default in here. Then here, you know, number of bathrooms and things like that, right? So there's some information that we can use here. And so I was on the Zillow site and I was thinking like, why don't these listings have videos? I've seen videos for real estate before, but you don't see them on most of the listings. And I realized it's because like creating videos are expensive and time consuming. You can spend $5, $10, $15,000 in weeks and weeks and weeks creating a listing video for a $2.5 million property. So I thought this was really interesting. And of course, this is like an expensive property, right? But not every property is going to be that much. I typed in Maui, so I think the properties here are probably more expensive. But like here, this is okay. This is $104,000. You're probably not going to spend $10,000 on a real estate video for a $100,000 property because you're just not going to get a return if you're the listing agent, right? So I was thinking, all right, like, is there a good, fast, cheap way to create some sort of videos from the images that already exist? And so I went back to the API here and I came over here and I looked to see there's this one that says get get images. And I was like, all right, we're on to something here. If I go to the example responses, you can see we actually have access to all of the image URLs that come from Zillow. And I knew that I could actually stitch these together to create a video. And now, of course, before I went out and did this, I went and I did a little bit of research, right? And there was a couple of stats that I found that really stood out to me, and I put them on the site, right? So 400% more buyer inquiries when a video has a listing. You have a 31% faster sale. You get 37% more page views, and these 14% faster time to pending, which means like the sale is in progress, right? And so for an asset like a home that is so valuable, all of these stats made me think that creating a video that was going to get you more buyers and get you a higher price and faster sale was going to be an extremely valuable asset that I could actually create for pretty cheap and sell at a reasonable price point. Like if I sold this for $99 a video, but it means that you're able to get 4 more potential buyers for your home, therefore driving up the price of the home or creating a faster time to sale, which means there's less holding costs and things like that. Like this is an extremely valuable asset. So that's a little bit of the philosophy, kind of like how I came to this conclusion to try to build this system. And I know that was kind of a lot before I actually went through and showed you this build, but I think it's really important to understand the methodology here, that you shouldn't just be going and building something blindly, but that you can actually be building something with purpose, right? And so the first thing I did was not connect this to a webhook, right? The first thing I did was just set this to make an HTTP request to the Zillow.com API through Rapid API. And the way you do this is if you come in here, let me just go back to the property details one. This is super cool because like it creates this curl request for you, right? And so all I can do is just copy this right here. And if you come back over into N8N, you can come and hit the tab. You can type in HTTP request. You can go ahead and you can click import curl. You can paste this in here and you're pretty much all set up, all ready to go. And what I wanted to know is that can I just take the URL of a video to extract this zip ID or Zillow ID, right? And basically this is coming at the end. If I go into this video here, you can see this is the ZP ID and it's coming at the end of the URL up here. So I was wondering, can I just extract this? Because to me, I want the path of least resistance for my customer. I want no friction, right? And initially when I built this, I didn't even have the first name, last name, email address field. I literally just had the listing URL. So all somebody has to do is come in here, copy the URL and paste it in, and you can click create my video and the video gets delivered to your inbox. Now, of course, if you actually want it delivered to your inbox, you got to go ahead, you got to put your name in here, you got to put your email address, and we can go ahead and click create my video. And I'm just going to do this with a different Zillow listing just so you can see that the system works, and this can work in the back end, while we go on and I show you the rest of the system. So this is a beautiful home. Let's copy this one here. Go ahead, copy this. Replace the address here, and I'll go ahead and click create my video, and this is going to work in the background. We get a nice little success message. It says, thank you, check your inbox in 5 to 10 minutes for your video. And if I come back here over into N8N, I can go into executions and we can see that this is already kicked off and this is running in the background, right? So let me go ahead and walk you through the rest of this. So what we've done here is we've actually pulled out the form data. And what we've done is we've basically taken the listing URL, which is coming in from our form. So here's the listing URL. And all we're doing is we're just trimming it, right? We're just extracting that Z ID from the end of the URL here, just using some expressions inside of N8N, because we know that's exactly what Rapid API wants for us. And then we're just pulling in the normal fields, like the first name of the person who submitted the request. And we're just going ahead and we're grabbing the first name from the webhook here, and we're grabbing the email from the email address here as well. And the reason we do this is now I'm always thinking ahead, right? I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to want to send an email to this person and I'm going to want to say like, hey, Brian, like your video is ready, right? So I just want to make sure we have access to that first name. And I didn't originally set this up with the webhook, but I'm going to show you how to set this up inside of Lovable. If you want to just build this from scratch at the start, you can actually use what's called a form trigger inside of N8N. So this is just an N8N form. You can go ahead and go into triggers and you can say on new N8N form event. And you can just go ahead and create these form fields yourself. And so we could call this, Zillow URL, and we can add another form element and we can say first name, and we can add another form element and we can go ahead and say email, right? And so this is basically the same thing. And so when we trigger this on the form event, basically it's doing the same thing as what this webhook is doing. And so this is how you can set up these automations yourself before you get into actually building out the SaaS or the front end or anything like that. So from there, we're just splitting this to both the Rapid API calls. 1, the get details call, and 2, the get images call. And we're going to run 2 separate processes with them, and then we're going to combine them both at the end. So here we're just getting the details of the property. This is exactly how we saw inside of Rapid API, right? It's doing the same thing. We're just piping in the Zillow ID that we set earlier from here. And basically that's all we have to do here. We don't need to do anything else, and we get access to all this data, right? Here's the county that it's in. Here's the monthly HOA fee, the living area, all of this stuff. And so the magic is really happening in this script writer. So I just created like a ChatGPT agent prompt, and I'm sure I used like ChatGPT or Claude to come up with this prompt. But basically it says, task, create an engaging 120-word video sales script tailored to specific property details. And now if we want to start offering more premium options like on our site ourselves, like we can set this up to be dynamic. So it's like if they pay more, maybe they get a 2-minute script instead of a 1-minute script, right? And so we could update the 120 words to 240 words. But for now, again, we want to create a proof of concept so that we know the system works before we actually try to look at scale. So input, you will receive property details, including property specifications like the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lot size, etc., right? We want it to create a compelling 60-second video sales script with this structure. So first, we want a hook. Create an opening that's directly tied to the property's most unique or desirable features. And here's some examples, right? If it has a stunning view, what if your morning coffee came with a panoramic mountain view? Or ever seen a kitchen island that doubles as a wine cellar, right? So just something to get the viewer's attention. I'm using like the social media principles like TikTok, Instagram, any short form, right? Or even on YouTube, right? You want to start with a strong hook. And then the showcase, highlight 3 to 4 property-specific features that directly support the hook, connect each feature to a lifestyle benefit. Again, I'm trying to think of what sells the home. And yes, I watch like real estate shows, HGTV, and, like Bravo or whatever, right? And basically what they always say is like, you're not selling the features. You want the person to imagine themselves in the home. Like you're selling the lifestyle it creates. So it's not like a kitchen. It's like, here's a place for entertaining your friends and family. Like imagine everybody gathering to enjoy like a delicious meal, right? You're selling that vision, that vibe. You're not selling like, oh, this has like a great stove, right? Like some people like really care about that, but most people just want to see themselves living. And then at the end, you just want to add a call to action, like send us an email or schedule a call or something like that, right? And then just some critical requirements, like every detail mentioned must come from the provided property information because we don't want the system to make up something about the home that isn't there. Right for spoken delivery, which is natural flow, because again, we want to create a voiceover from this. And then we actually have the user prompt here where we're just feeding in the property details that are coming from the Rapid API call, right? The time zone, the city, the county, the state, the home type, the square footage, the description. So it took a little bit of time to like map all of these fields over, but on the right, you can see like we're pulling in the details of the single family home and then everything about it, this full description of what it includes, and then some of the appliances and things like that, bedrooms, bathrooms, how many stories. It doesn't have to have everything. This is plenty for us to go on. So from there, you can see this just generated a voiceover script. Imagine waking up in paradise every day in the crown jewel of Maui's Moana Estates. Welcome to a stunning 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home nestled on the largest 10,382 square foot home site in the community. So that's super, super cool, right? So from there, we're actually taking the script and we're using 11 Labs to create a voiceover. So we're also making an HTTP request to 11 Labs, and you can see what the query looks like here. We're just mapping in the text from the script writer, and 11 Labs has great documentation on how to set all of this up. The only thing that's actually also kind of important is right here at the end of the URL you're calling. This is actually the voice ID for the actor or actress you want to be your voiceover. And so in order to set up 11 Labs, you're going to want to come over to 11labs.io. And so if you're in 11 Labs, you can just be inside this creative platform. And if you scroll down, you can click on developers here. You can get access to your API key, and you can just go ahead and create a new API key here. And then you're just going to want to copy the API key that it gives you. And you're going to come back inside of N8N, and I've gone ahead and just created an authentication here. You want to make sure you're in generic credential type here. The generic auth type is header auth, and just go ahead and create new credential here. And I'm just going to show you the one I already created. And for the name up top, you want this to be xi-api-key. This part is actually super important. You want to make sure this is all lowercase. And then here, you're just going to go ahead and paste in your API key. Once this is done, 11 Labs is going to spit out the voiceover file as this binary data type. And then from there, we're just going to upload this to a Google Drive folder so that we actually have access to the publicly available URL. And we're just naming this with the Zillow ID and the date. And I just selected a folder on my Google Drive to do this. You can see here that the operation is upload and the input data field name is data, which matches over here. And then I'm just using a set node to actually set the web content link so I don't have to be searching through this all the time. And if we come into our node over here and we scroll down, you can see here we have this web content link, and I'm just driving this over here. So that's the top route. And what we're doing here is we're just getting the audio and we're merging that together with the video. So the video is a little bit tricky, but what we're doing is we're making a call to that get images API, and we're getting all of the images here. And you can see there are 50 of them. And what I found is that about like 5 seconds per image seemed about right to me. You can change this if you want, but I'm just using the split out node because if you see here, it just says one item. So basically everything comes aggregated in this array. We just want to split this out so that we have access to each URL for every thumbnail image individually. And then I'm just setting this limit down to 12, so it's only grabbing the first 12 images. This is just for a proof of concept. And so now that we've developed this out a little bit more, we're actually selecting like every other or every third image based off of the total number of images. So that way we can actually take advantage of all the images that the Zillow listing has instead of just the first 12. And so from there, we're just looping over every single URL of the image to add motion to it. And the way we're doing this is using a tool called the No-Code Architool Toolkit. It's right here on GitHub. I'll leave a link in the description. I don't think Stephen will mind. This is by Stephen G. Pope. He's another AI automation developer guy. He's great. This is his YouTube channel, and he developed the No-Code Architect Toolkit, which really does a whole lot of things. But for us, what we are doing, we're using it to add motion, and we're also using it to stitch the video clips together end to end, and then add captions to the video at the end. So his tool is actually really helpful for this, and it's totally free. So super awesome. He's got a great video on his channel on how to set that up. I'm not going to walk you through that today. I'll leave that for him. But what we are doing is we're using just some of this code, and I asked ChatGPT about this code. We're using a service called FFmpeg, which I'm pretty sure has been around since the dawn of time, to basically add motion to all of our thumbnail images using whatever these complex codes are. I don't really know what they mean. They're basically kind of like translation codes, right? It's kind of like move this many pixels over this amount of time, kind of, right? And it's like move left, move right, move up, move down, whatever, right? So we're kind of generating those codes, and it's just generating them randomly. And so we're applying a different type of motion to every single image. And then we're using the No-Code Architect Toolkit to basically call FFmpeg to add motion to our images. And then we're aggregating all of them back together into a array with all of the MP4s. You can see here, these all have .mp4 at the end. So these are individual clips, and I can just go ahead. And if I just open up one of them here, like you can see, this is just like a single clip, right? And this isn't going to have voiceover. This is going to have captions or anything. It's literally just going to have the video. And so we aggregated all of these together, and we merged them together with the voiceover. And then we're calling the No-Code Architect Toolkit again. And what we're doing here is pretty cool, actually. What we're doing is we're stringing out all of the video URLs here so that we're merging them end to end to end to end to end. And then we're actually getting two URLs. This first one here is going to be for our audio file, which is coming from the web content link that we set before. And then I actually just found a clip, like a free audio clip on YouTube that I downloaded to use for the music and store that in Google Drive. So I just hard coded this in here. But 11 Labs actually has a new music generation feature that we could actually use to generate new music for every single one of these videos that I definitely want to implement. And then at the end, we're just adding captions. So the No-Code Architect Toolkit also has a great captions feature. We're just adding captions to the video once we've actually stitched all of the clips together along with the voiceover. So you can see here now.
Imagine waking up in paradise every day in the crown jewel of Maui's Moana estate.
So you can see we have now all of the video with motion stitched end to end, and the audio voiceover over top, but we don't have any captions yet. So what this is doing is this is retranscribing our audio to create the captions over top, and we're kind of just choosing the font and the size and the positioning of all of these things here in this JSON. And the last thing that's happening is we set this up to actually ping another webhook here inside of N8N. So we'll send this off to the No-Code Architects Toolkit to add the captions, and once the captions are done, it's actually going to respond to this webhook down here. And now this webhook, let me come back into the executions and just open this up. And let me zoom back in here. So this webhook is receiving from the No-Code Architect Toolkit some information. And so this is just receiving a response from the No-Code Architect Toolkit with the caption video. And the most important part is just this link right here to the video with the captions. And so let me go ahead and I'll just open this up too. And what it does is this automatically downloads this to my machine. So this is the new video that we just created while I was yapping at you for the past 20 minutes.
Imagine waking up on Maui's beautiful art farm, where creativity meets sustainability on over 15 breathtaking acres. Here, you're not just buying a single family home.
So you get the idea. So this is a pretty cool setup. And then once we have this file, all we're doing is we're just sending a message in Gmail. And let me pipe back over to the editor here. We're just using the Gmail send a message here. We're using the original ID that's coming from the webhook. So you can actually see here that inside the ID of the video, we actually coded in the email address from the job so that we still have access to it. So we're just extracting the email address from here and then sending this HTML formatted text to the email. And all it says is your Zillow video is ready. Click below to download it. And then we just have a button that says like download with a link to the video. It says download my video. And once you click it, it downloads to the machine like you just saw. And so if we come over to our executions here, you can see that the first one finished and basically generated all our video for us. And then the second one finished, which is basically pinging the second webhook to actually send us an email. So if I come over to my Gmail account, I have a brand new email all ready for me to go. It says your Zillow video is ready. It says, hi, Duncan, your Zillow video is ready. Click below to download it. And I just go ahead and click download my video. And then we just pop this bad boy open. We have a brand new video.
Imagine waking up on Maui's beautiful art farm, where creativity meets sustainability on over 15 breathtaking acres. Here, you're not just buying a single family home, you're investing in a lifestyle.
And so that's really how the system works. And the last thing I did is I just went over to Lovable, and I'm just going to go ahead and like copy these stats, and I'm just going to show you how I made this really quick. If I go to dashboard, we can come in here and I can just say, create a simple landing page with a single form field for a Zillow URL. Also include some stats. And I'm just going to paste in those stats that we had before just so it exists. And then we can also say, make sure the form pings this webhook on submission. And this is kind of how you would start, right? And then from there, you're just going to go in, you're going to go to your editor, and we're going to go ahead and you would grab, at first, the thing you want to grab is really this test URL. But for our case, we're just going to grab the production URL so that it works out the gate. And you can just go ahead and paste in that webhook and then click submit. And so Lovable is going to get to work building out this landing page for you. And all you have to do is input the Zillow URL coming from literally any Zillow listing. And it's just going to send that URL to the webhook here. And then that's just going to kick off the rest of the process, right? So it's really cool. And what I love about Lovable and the form fields, right, is that you can set this up and build this out in N8N, and it's actually incredibly simple to spin up like a front end for a proof of concept. Now, there are some issues when it comes to scale, like having proper databases in place, having proper security and things like that. Like if once you start taking on customers and users and you're dealing with like payment processing and things like that, it becomes like this whole web of things that really need to be set properly. And I encourage you to work with the developer to do that because you want to keep your customers' information safe. But this is really great for a proof of concept just to see if the system works. This is a great way to start like building in public, show off what you're working on, let people validate the idea for you, like get feedback from people, make improvements over time, and then eventually you can launch this and start taking money and start taking payments and make this thing public. So this site finished in like a minute or two, and you can see here we have a place to insert the listing for the Zillow URL, and you would just go ahead and paste that in here and click get started. We can come down here, we can see that we have the stats that we wanted, and you can of course go ahead and make changes, to the UI and the design and all you want, right? So if you thought this video was helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and definitely check out this video up here where I show you exactly how to turn a lead gen system into a micro SaaS app start to finish. I'll see you over there.